Live to Champ Sports and Spirits in Alva. It is a Wednesday night, part of our Wednesday night coaches block. We've got our Coaches Corner show talking Goldbug football here to open things off tonight. And once our show wraps up past the top of the hour, we'll slide over and talk Northwestern Ranger football with the Inside the Lines show with Ranger head coach Matt Walter. Matt Adair and Jesse Klein will have that show for you, all happening Wednesday nights live here from Champ Sports and Spirits. We open it up by talking Goldbug football. We bring in the Alva Goldbug head football coach, Taylor Schwerdtfiger. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Obviously, it's really nice to come off of a road win. Any win at this stage, as you've been rebuilding this program, but to go on the road and get a very close, hard-fought win against a team in Hobart that was hungry for a win of their own, I think. Lots to talk about and digest about that game because, again, we win it 26-20. It's one we had to kind of hold on with some things that happened. But anytime you can go on the road in that environment and with this team, as you've tried to rebuild them, really, there was a lot of impressive things that did come out of that.
Well, I appreciate that. You're right. There was, obviously a lot of adversity.
Are you ready to pay?
Came out on fire.
We don't really have a set.
We moved right down the score after the game. We looked great. The game plan was good. Everything was jiving. They came out and spread the ball out a little bit. Gave us some trouble defensively. Not a lot, but a little bit. Enough that we had to adjust. That quarterback's a great player. We've talked about it. As far as the adversity coming, we lose our quarterback. I believe we're down 12-6.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
So and that drive ends up being a touchdown, and then Mitchell converts a 2-point to Noah.
Which, by the way, I still don't know how he completed that.
Which was great.
It was a slant pattern. Looked like the guy was going to jump right in front of it. I mean, it was.
Put it right on him. So it was great. So that puts 14-12. We're going to halftime, and I got to tell you, half was a little bit dicey. I mean, the feeling was, we're going to be able to hang on to this.
Yeah.
Come out, battle in the third. Things don't go great. We get a terrible call that they admittedly messed up on. We were going an unbalanced set and covering a tight end up, and they didn't see the other tight end and didn't call it for in-line scrimmage. And then when we brought it to their attention, they wouldn't change the call. So we were gashing to pop out of it.
Yeah.
So that slowed us down. And then just overcoming adversity on the road, and then defense holds them at the end of the third. We talked about it. We use our timeouts. We get the win, and Mitchell puts it right on Hayden on the seam route, puts us up. And then I think really the focus at that point should be on defense, defending half of the field the entire fourth quarter with a wind in their face. The offense has the wind.
Yeah, Hobart had the wind at their back at that point.
Just unbelievable.
Well, it's amazing, and this is what we talk about when you try to build a program to where you want it to be, and I know there's a long way to go from that, but what was amazing to me to watch that game is to look at how many ebbs and flows, momentum-wise, were in that game, how many things that went wrong for us that could have been disastrous. Those type of things last year, we lose that game.
Oh, sure.
When we're down 12-6, honestly, after we have that early lead and they score those 2 touchdowns, we lose that game.
Sure.
That's just how.
And it could have been a landslide.
Absolutely, it probably would have been whatever they wanted it to be. That's to me what tells you that our mindset is different. And we're trying to do the right things and get on track, is that we were able to push through those. And you mentioned the defense, that fourth quarter, think about it. They were knocking on the door, go down to the goal line, they fumble, we get it right there. Now we got the safety right after that, which
wasn't great, but wasn't the worst
thing.
No,
it wasn't the worst thing that could happen, certainly better than a touchdown. But then just continue to battle. I mean, and that's what was impressive to me. The Smith kid, the Kellen Smith, their quarterback, had a good night, ran for a lot of yards, certainly. But I think when the crunch time of the game happened, we did a really good job, I thought, on limiting. He didn't have any big plays, really. Maybe 1 or 2 in the second half.
He had one scramble at the end of the fourth to set up the Hail Mary type play that he threw up for grabs. But that was the only play he had.
Yes.
I mean, it really was. And looking at it from that standpoint, it's 26-12 they get that point. Wasn't it 14?
It was
26-12.
Yeah, well, it was 14 because of the safety.
Oh, okay, 14, you're right.
Because Hayden had scored the 70-yard run, and well,
Yes.
we were up by 12 at that point.
So it was 26-14.
Yeah.
And it looked like we were going to take it out of hand.
Yes.
And they score on that little Hail Mary deal, and we get on the ball. Did a great job. Davion on the onside kick, heads up play, going over, getting on it, and then Hayden Colwell makes a run. After that, that's one of the best runs I've seen in a long time. I mean, the kid comes off, breaks a tackle, he gets face masked. I don't know if you could see it, but it literally pulled his head down and around, kept his feet moving, spun off of it, found the sideline, and took off.
And the key with that was the game clincher, because at that point the timeouts were done.
Yep.
So that was the key. Once they got it to 6, we got to get a first down. That game's over.
That's right.
And again, those are type of things you have to do in late game situations.
It is.
Little compartmentalized things you have to do to win games, and that was so nice to see.
And it is. I mean, and that's what I told him after the game. I used Thomas as a reference. I said, hey, look, at the end of that game, those kids knew what to do to win. I mean, they did what they had to do to win. And I was proud that at the end of that game, we were in a hard-fought game. A lot of adversity happened, but we did the things we needed to do. We made the plays in the end. I mean, that's what winners do. So, and I mean, that's a huge win. I'm going to be honest with you. On the road against a very athletic team.
Yes.
I mean, their record does not show their athletic ability.
No, it does not.
The type of football team that they could easily be 2-1. Easily, and losing to a 4A team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's that. And, so they were a preseason ranked ball team.
They were.
They were number 9 in 2A to start the year.
Yep.
So huge win. And so and then they got Hennessy coming to town, which I know we're talking about. That coming home with that win is a lot better feeling coming into play Hennessy this week. I know people say, well, Hennessy's down, they're 0-3. Well, Hennessy should be 2-1.
Yeah.
Watching that film and understanding things that happen to them, and things that they've gotten so much better through this, so much better, which is going to happen with a team that reloads.
And they are typically a team. They play pretty tough competition, obviously. Elgin's a very good football team. First game of the year. Kingfisher, that's always a war. From being at Kingfisher, you guys always win at it. And then Jones is a very good football team. They're one of the tops as well.
And it's 14-6 at halftime. And Jones, one of their scores is a pick 6.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're right there in that ball game. So, they've been in every game they played in. They should have won 2 of them. Jones, give or take. Jones might be a little bit better team. I mean, Hennessy's a good ball. And you said it last Friday. Until somebody takes it from them, they're the team to beat. I know Chisholm's really good this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
And we all can see that and understand that. We don't know where we're at quite yet in the district. We have an idea how much better we are. We don't know where Hennessy's at, to be quite frank.
This will be a litmus test for both teams.
It will. It will. And some of the comments made, somebody was in Stillwater last weekend and saw a gentleman with the Hennessy shirt on, just a fan.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you guys have had a rough season so far. And the guy said, yeah, well, we're 0-3, but we'll go strap it on and beat the brakes off Alva. I mean, that's what they think.
Yeah.
They're fixing to just drive over here and put it on us. And, that's from years past. It's been the case, but if you haven't been following us so far, I'm not saying we're going to win the game. I'm not saying it's going to be a tight game or what. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, they'll know they've been in a game when they leave. It's not going to be they're going to get hit. They're going to get hit, and they're going to get hit. So our kids know that, and that's what we're going to bring to the table. And so we'll see what happens after the game's over. But I have a feeling that, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen in the game. But I know that when they go home, they're going to talk about, things are a little bit different. They're not going to look forward to next year. No. I don't know if they'll win it or what. I do know that. So we'll be prepared and we'll be ready. Our kids are ready to play. And like I said, hey, they're a good football team. They're going to get something. They're going to get theirs. And we've just got to do a good job of handling that early in the game. Because I really do think the first quarter, looking at how they play, they come out on fire in the first quarter. Everybody they play. Their first drives, their script offensively is tremendous.
Right.
They do a great job of game planning. They do a good job of execution. They don't hurt themselves. Now, they do turn the ball over late in games, and that's where I think...
That's where it's probably hurt them in closing out games.
It's killed them. And again, they're starting a freshman quarterback. So that's where I think, if you look at our stats, our second and third quarters have been tremendous.
Yes.
Our first quarters have been so-so. Second, our defense, I believe, has given maybe shutouts in the second quarter or 6 all season, three games. And then our third quarter's been really good for us offensively. So, we typically try to get stronger as the game goes on. I think that'll play into our favor.
The other thing that I'm liking, and this is directly from an offensive standpoint, we have proven to be pretty balanced, and that's one of the good things about what you like your offense to be. You want to run it, but you want to be able to throw it. And we did that against Hobart. Wound up going with 2 quarterbacks, but both had some success, but ran the ball tremendously. Another over 200-yard rushing game. This time Hayden had over 200 his own rushing yards in that game, but 145 passing, 374 total yards in that game against Hobart. So, I mean, the balance is getting there. I mean, you're doing a lot of good things with the run and the pass. Whereas I think that Hennessy game was more, we didn't run, or not Hennessy, Thomas didn't run it as well. Some of the things they did, but we passed it pretty well.
Right, no, absolutely. And again, that was some of the things. It might be the case Friday night as well. I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see. A lot of it's going to depend on what they think about us. I mean, how much do they respect the running game? How much do they, are they worried about us going over the top with our athletes in space? How much are they worried about us throwing smoke routes to our inside receivers? We're going to find out what it is they're saying. Look, this is what we're doing. So we'll get a feel for it. And, like I said, whoever our quarterback is, probably going to be Mitchell. We'll act accordingly. I know Austin Sklar is the kid for his.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because of course we kind of knew he'd been dealing with a shoulder issue even before the game. He'd really been dealing with it since the Woodward scrimmage, I think. And then of course the roughing the passer, penalty when it happens knocks him out of the game, and Mitchell plays the rest of the way. Just give me your thoughts on how it's gone with Austin as far as through this week. And I mean, we not a definitive answer, but what do you think going forward?
We're bringing him along. I mean, like I told you before, honestly, our goals going into the season obviously were very simple. We're going to climb the ladder. We're going to produce a program. We want to get in the playoffs. We're going to play week 11
sure,
and see what happens and get better every week. And I really believe for us to do that, we need to have Austin. And not that Mitchell couldn't do it and do a good job, but that's too much to put on one guy's shoulders at this point.
Let alone a freshman.
Let alone a freshman. And to be honest, you need 2 quarterbacks, whether Austin's half healthy or not.
I think you're right.
And we need 2. So, however which way we're going to spin it, we need to have them both ready to go. And our ultimate goals, like I said, are make the playoffs. Win or lose against Hennessy, those goals are still attainable. Yeah. So we need to make sure, we got a tough road game at the Newkirk this week.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, we need to get out of this week healthy. We need to be able to go to Newkirk and perform. That's a team that beat us soundly.
Yes.
And everybody did.
It did. No, it did. But that's. I mean, we're this week is going to be a litmus test, as we said. How do we stack up against maybe one of the top teams in the district?
Yes.
That we probably think Hennessy is one of the top teams.
There's no doubt.
And then. So then next week obviously is very key, because the Newkirks are the ones you have to beat, I think, if you're going to get in the postseason. I mean, you have to start there to get to that point to be in the postseason.
I think it's very obvious to me that Hennessy and Chisholm are 1-2,
1 and 1A, however you want.
However you want to put it, and then everybody else
is
running for third place right now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that we can't go in there and knock 1 or 2 or both of those teams off.
Sure.
But where they're at in their programs, that's where it's blatantly obvious to me that's where they're at.
Sure.
And so we don't know where we're at yet. So we want to we're somewhere in that mix right now of, hey, are we better than these guys in this tier? Are we third place, second, first, fourth? Where do we come in the mix at? We just really don't know yet. But like you said, this is going to be a great test for us, because not to compare scores and things like that, but we got a good look at Woodward. We know what Woodward did to Kingfisher, and we know what Kingfisher did to Hennessy.
Yes.
So we kind of have an idea about the speed of the game and things that we can do, how we can match up. And I really do feel like if we'll come in, we're going to struggle moving the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the things that they do are going to give us some fits a little bit. But as the game goes on, we get used to it, and we'll be fine. we just can't do it.
Yeah.
We can't give them any extra opportunities. I don't know what the finals were yet. I know we fumbled in the twice there in the fourth.
Yeah.
In the third, excuse me. Fumbled in the third twice. And lost both, didn't we?
I thought we lost 2 fumbles and had the interception. Maybe that. So 3 total turnovers is what I think.
And Mitchell had the interception.
Yeah.
And that's we just can't do that in big games at this point. Everybody that we play from here on out, we can't do that. I mean, it's just, this is a Hennessy team. Granted, they lost a lot of players. They were up 52-0 at halftime last year.
Yeah.
At half. Two
yeah.
quarters of football.
Yeah.
And so we're going to really find out how much of the gap that we've closed in this offseason.
Right.
And we already know that we've done. The kids have done a tremendous job. You don't go down to Hobart and win. You don't go down to Thomas and get a dogfight. And you don't beat OBA as bad as you want to. I mean, let's be quite honest. That could have been as bad as we want it to be. And so we know the gap is closed. But like you said, I think it's a great deal. We're going to find out where we're at real quick because Hennessy has zero respect for us.
No.
Zero.
And from their standpoint, they haven't had much reason to. I mean, that's just true. Now we've had talented teams prior to last year, and we've battled with them some, but but more often than not, it's been them basically dominating the series. And if you look back on it, Alva's not beaten Tennessee since 2008. That was the last time. 6 straight losses, and the last 5 have all been in district play. So that's just how the series has gone.
And so you're right. There is no reason to have respect for it. I mean, the only thing I think that works for them a little bit is that coaching staff has been there since I was a Kingfisher. They're great. They do a great job. So they know me, and they know, in their favor, they know they're going to come over and that we're going to be ready.
I think so.
They're not going to come in here and overlook us by any means. Hey, let's be honest, they're looking for a win.
Sure.
They're looking for a win.
See, that's the thing. That I mean, not only did they they can say they're going to take us lightly, but they really can't do that too much because they're 0-3. They've got to get a win.
And you can't do that and look at the film and say, if you take this team lightly, that team over at Thomas that whipped them for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
What are you going to do then? We outscored them 21-0 in 3 quarters, and then give up that one in the end. So, I mean, you cannot come over here and not put a hat on us. I mean, and that's what they do, and that's what they believe in, which is fine because that's what we're trying to teach.
Sure.
We're going to match physicality with and we're going to play fast, and we're going to see what happens. We've got to be really fundamentally sound tackling. Taylor Jones is a tremendous tailback. He's the best in the district, minus maybe the kid from Chisholm. But I'm going to tell you, we got one I think a lot of too.
Yeah.
You don't rush and do what he's done the last 2 weeks and not be pretty dang good.
No, I agree.
We'll see what happens.
Should be a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick break, bring our players back in, and we'll bring Coach Schwett back in later, and we'll kind of do a little bit more in-depth with Hennessy and talk about it as our Coach's Show continues. We're going to be talking to Tevin Long and Grant Ritter. Those were our players of the game from last week's game against Hobart. Let's take a quick time out and bring the players in. When we come back, this is Coach's Corner tonight here on KELB. Show live from Champ Sports and Spirits. We bring in our K&K Bodyworks Northwest Electric Company players of the game from last week's games against Hobart. We'll start with senior Tevin Long. Tevin, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I am good. Obviously, for you guys, a huge win against Hobart. I mean, when you look at where this program certainly was last year and no wins, and everybody kind of knows what the situation was in that regard, to go on the road and play a team like Hobart and to have such a back-and-forth game that you guys came away with a win. How much confidence does that give you guys to know you can win a game like that?
Oh man, I think it gives us a lot of confidence. We're just going to have to go out and play real hard against Tennessee. They're a good team, but I think we can give them a run for the money.
You taught one of the top receivers last week, 4 catches, 54 yards, had the touchdown, had the first touchdown of the game, which kind of got us started. And as we were talking with Coach, looked like we were, had a great start, everything was looking good. Then the momentum changed. They took the lead, but we battled back. And the other thing that was interesting for me, Tevin, is you have Austin go out with the injury, and you have a freshman, Mitchell Meyer, come in. And I thought for a freshman he did some really good things. How much as a team, though, did you guys try to rally around him when he got in that game, knowing that you were playing without your top guy?
I think when Austin got hurt, I think he hit us pretty hard. I think Mitchell came in and did a really good job. Him being a freshman, I think he came in and did some big things for us. It's definitely a big game for him to be in on his first high school game. But no, I think he did a really good job, and I think we rolled with the punches.
Absolutely, and that's one of the signs of this team this year. I feel like that's obviously different from last year, is being able to kind of pick yourself up, when you're down a little bit. I want to talk about you personally. Of course, last year didn't play football, elected to come out as a senior. What was the tipping point for you to say, I want to go ahead and be a part of, certainly what Coach Schwed is building, but what was it for you that said, I want to be a part of it?
Oh, man. Coach Schwed, I heard he was coming to coach football for us, and that got me all kinds of excited. I just think I really wanted to be a part of a good program up at the high school and, get in and lift and get stronger and come out and have a chance to surprise people this year.
Well, you also, of course, play basketball, you play baseball, you play a lot of sports. So this is something that you would think could help you throughout the rest of the year as well. And you did that, and I know Braden came in and decided to play as a senior too. So it's pretty cool that that you guys are kind of coming in and saying, hey, even though it's only 1 year, you're on the foundation of kind of building this program.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
It is. I certainly was glad to see you guys come out. I know Coach Schwed was as well. Tevin, look forward to seeing you against Hennessy on Friday night. I know that's going to be a big atmosphere, first district game. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right, thanks.
Our thanks to Tevin Long, the senior. He was our offensive player of the game. We will bring in Grant Ritter. He was our defensive player of the game. Grant had a total of 10 tackles in the game against Hobart the other night. Grant, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Defensively, you guys, I've been very impressed with what you guys have done defensively. And Coach Sklar, as the defensive coordinator, kind of since day one, has, I think, had a pretty good system. And you guys, especially up front, you being one of the key defensive ends that's come in, have really made an impact. What's it been like being a part of that defensive system?
It's very fun. I think we come out and show them, set the tone early, and just play defense.
Very aggressive too. Is that? I mean, when from your standpoint as a defensive end, how much is it just about being aggressive and like getting upfield? And because that was the one thing against Hobart, you got a lot of. I thought you guys got a lot of penetration getting into the backfield against the Hobart backs and running backs.
Yes, we just needed to stop them and prove to them that we are a very good defense and stop them.
Well, and just the mindset too, Grant, is what's great about you guys this year. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were injured a good portion of last football season, right? Didn't really get to play a whole lot. So what was it like for you to go through the off season and then get a chance now to know not only are you going to get to play, but you're going to be one of the key players on defense? What was the whole off season like, getting yourself ready to be in a lot?
It was just a lot of hard work and determination we lifted, and I wanted to come out and prove that I can play and we can play as a defense.
Well, and how nice is it to have the coaching staff kind of surround everybody and say, this is how we're going to build the program. I mean, they have kind of instilled the work that you guys have had to do, and then you guys have done the work to get yourself ready. Has that been kind of fun to be on the ground floor of a program where they're completely kind of remaking it with what Coach Schwed is doing?
Yes, it's been a lot of fun. We do drills and just keep repeating the same thing every week. And hopefully,
repetition makes it better. That's exactly right. Grant, again, great game for you against Hobart. 10 tackles, one of the team leaders in that regard. And really look forward to seeing you as you get going against Tennessee on Friday night. Should be fun. All right, Grant, thank you, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we appreciate Grant Ritter, our defensive player of the game from the Hobart contest. We're going to take a quick timeout, come back, and we'll bring Coach Schwed in for a final time and more kind of in-depth recap of what we'll see from Hennessy. That's coming up next. Coach's Corner live tonight here from Champ Sports and Spirits on KALV. Welcome back to Champ Sports and Spirits, our Coach's Corner show tonight. Again, just talked to Tevin Long and Grant Ritter, our defensive and offensive player of the game from the Hobart team. Coach, your thoughts on these two guys and kind of what they've meant, certainly what they meant in terms of the Hobart game.
Well, I tell you what, Grant Ritter, you got to be proud of that kid. He's really taken to his role defensively, done a great job with what we do. I mean, it's obvious he's gotten better every week. You got to be proud of his effort. He's a kid you know is always going to give you everything he's got. He lays it out there. I mean, there's no doubt. It sounded like he did a good job on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, Ritter's not a bad job on the radio.
He did.
So, and then you got Greasy Steve back
hey.
here.
Yeah.
You know, Greasy Steve, player of the game.
Of course.
Devin Long.
He should be used to that now. He just kind of racks up play of the game.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know if he was going to come tonight. He said the only reason he showed up so the league wouldn't find him.
Oh, yeah.
From his media appearance.
I mean, I can imagine.
Hey, I'm pretty pumped, you know. And just, hey, honestly, you hit on it. You know, those seniors that came out, Tevin and Greg, I mean, coming out and being part of the program. I got to tell you, that's as big as anything. Those guys came in, and they have been in 110%. There's no doubt that senior group, and I told them today that they're the ones that are going to be in 10 years from now when they come back for their high school reunion. They're going to come back to them and say, "Hey, you know, when we graduated, we were part of this.
Absolutely.
We turned this around.
Yeah.
We made a stand. We said we're going to put the work in. We're going to be tough enough, and we're going to do it." And so, I mean, I hope Friday night that is seen. You know, I hope that the community sees that and is proud of these kids for the effort and the commitment that they've made.
I know, and you know what's interesting about that, Coach, is you have the long-term vision of the program, of course, and that's what you have to have. But what's great is you've got seniors who are on the ground floor of just the 1 year of it, but are going to be very instrumental on what the grand scheme of what this thing's going to look like, you know, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. I mean, these guys are going to lay the foundation.
There's no doubt about it. And for them to come out, you know, after an 0-10 season and trust us and put their trust in us that we were going to put them in a position to be successful if they would buy in. And they bought in from day one. They've been nothing but great. And their attitudes have been wonderful. They've worked their butts off. We've had plenty of adversity to work through thus far. And there'll be plenty more down the road. I mean, there's going to be more adversity. So I have no doubt that these group of kids are going to keep their heads straight and that we're going to work through it. Tremendous leadership out of them. So, I mean, I'm just really proud of those kids, especially the ones that came out. They didn't have to come out.
Yeah. Would have been really easy not to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to say, hey, look, I'm a one-sport guy, or I'm two, I've been doing these things, and these are what I focus on. And I tell them all the time. I mean, I tell them their best sports are what they're playing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them. I mean, Greasy Steve can drop some threes down there. I mean, he's a great basketball player. But I'm telling you, these kids can play ball. And really, they can do whatever they want. I'm just really proud of them. And all those seniors, I mean, stepping up like they have. Ridge and Travis. Travis changing positions like he has and bought into it.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% buy-in.
Hasn't missed a beat and has been tremendous.
He has been tremendous. So I'm just proud of these kids and the effort that they've had to this point. Tremendous team coming to town.
Yeah.
Tennessee's a good ball team. Don't anybody be just, you know, any illusions about that 0-3 record.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll roll it out there, and I think we'll have a good outcome.
Let's talk real quick game plan. Hennessy. Let's start offensively for us as you go against what they do defensively. Again, I know a very physical defensive team. How much pressure will they bring? What are some of the things that they'll do to maybe counteract what we like to do offensively?
Well, I look forward to bringing a lot of pressure, to be honest with you, especially if they see a freshman out there. If we trot the freshman out there, I think they're going to come at him early and often. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to do that. I don't think they think a lot of our running game, even though they should. I don't think, and that might be a little bit of, them just not believing we can be that much better.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. We're going to find out when they line up. I mean, they've played literally two completely different defenses against two different teams. So
Okay.
Kingfisher and Jones. Jones is more of a throwing team, but they still are a threat to run it. And they came out in a 5-man box, 3-man front, and just said, our 5 is better than your 7 in the box.
Yeah.
And they were. Hennessy's front was better.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that we could see the same look. They could try to match our skill up all the way across the board, cover everybody up, and say our 5 guys in the box are going to beat them. And if we can beat that 5-man look, we'll have a lot of success. If we can't, there's really not a lot we can do.
Yeah.
You can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have 5-man routes to 6-man coverage. That's pretty tough. So, we've got to be able to have some success there. And I think not necessarily has to happen early, but we have to find a groove, find what's going to be able to work for us.
You would like to, I'm sure, offensively sustain drives too. I mean, first downs, keep their offense off the field. Certainly, keep Tabor Johns, in terms of not touching the football that way. But
he's our best defensive player.
Yeah, so I mean, he's going to be on both ways.
He's going to be running. So he's going to be. But I mean, if we're moving the ball, then he's having to play.
Right.
So, obviously we want to do that, and we need to turn some of those into points. Not all of them have to be, because they're not built unless we make some big busts. They're not built to just big play.
Right.
They're built to drive the ball down and get a 25-yard gain here, 5, 20, 10, 50. That's how they work.
Yeah.
Methodic. And they had some big plays in the passing game against Kingfisher. I mean, they did. And they missed just a few others that could have put that game in jeopardy for the Fish.
Yeah.
So we have to respect them throwing the ball. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They do a good job with what they do. If we win the battle up front on the pass rush, we'll be in great shape. We will. We'll be in great shape.
Yeah, when you think about them on offense, obviously we mentioned Tabor Johns. He's tremendous. Maybe one of the top. Well, he is one of the top backs in 2A. I don't think there's any doubt. But as we look at our defense, our 3-4 look, the things that Coach Sklar likes to do, how much will we be able to? I mean, is there a chance we can get pressure on them with their freshman quarterback? Is there, how do we?
We can. We can get pressure. I mean, we've proven that we can get up there. We can do some good things. We've got to get them in a position to let us put pressure on, if that makes sense.
Yes.
If they're running the football down our throat, there's no reason.
No.
They're not ever going to spread that out and try to do it. They're just going to boot, throw it out the flat, make us run and tackle, and that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
So we've got to get them in a position they have to throw it downfield, and hopefully get him into some bigger 5-step drop situations.
I would think maybe get them in 3rd and long and not 3rd and short when you've got Johns that can just pound it. Is that accurate?
3rd and short is because of their options. They're great at the boot. They're tremendous downhill. I mean, if you pack the box, they're going to leak back out. And they don't care if they get 5 yards and move the chains.
Yeah.
We've got to do a great job on first down, which is generic, I know, but especially with Tennessee and the way they're built.
Yeah.
They're not built to come out of second round.
The other thing I would think, and I know this is something you guys will have talked about as well, obviously turnovers, which we already kind of mentioned a little bit, but then penalties. This has got to be one of those games we can't shoot ourselves in the foot with penalties, correct?
No doubt about it. We had, I don't know the final total last week, because obviously less than the week before.
Yeah, it was.
But we had some costly.
We
had some costly penalties, and that's what you've got to look at and go, God, we've got to. And this is the time of year that those start. I mean, really, this is the time of year that those we start sinking into what we're doing, understanding situations, and we had some communication problems last week with the wind, with our center. So our center ended up offsides twice because there was a wind coming from behind me. You couldn't hear the cadence. And that happens in football games. We just got to do a better job of locking in and being verbal with our commands and communication. And people don't understand the amount of communication that goes on in that box between his lineman and quarterback. There's a lot that has to happen for one play to be successful. So we've got to do a better job of that. And that will come with experience. I mean, honestly, it will come with experience. For us to rush for 220 last week. I mean, that was extremely good with that.
Other than that, you'd love to see again another big crowd. We're back at Ranger Field, the new facility, and if ever there's a time to have as many as you can. Obviously, with 2A District 1 opener against probably the best team in the district, this is the time to have it.
I tell you, if it's not, it's going to be great weather.
Yes, I think so.
We're on a roll. We're on a winning streak.
Yes.
In case anybody knew, we're on a winning streak. We got rid of that losing streak.
Yeah.
So, I think you're right. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be electric. I mean, this is a big game. OBA was fun, but everybody knew where we were at on that day.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we hadn't won a game yet, we just knew that,
And once the game kicked off, you really knew.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So this is different. I mean, this is us we're the underdog, obviously.
Yes.
And so this is going to be us really pouring everything we got out there and going after a team that we haven't beaten. Like you said,
It's 6 years.
6 years.
2008 last time.
I mean, gosh, if you can't get excited for that, I don't know if you want to check your pulse.
Hey, it's going to be fun. I look forward to it. I know you guys do as well. And, it's always fun to get to that district season because then now you really start thinking about where you go at the end of the year.
What's crazy to me is we've had 5 weeks of competition.
Yeah,
our 2
right,
scrimmages, our 3 games. I mean, think how fast that's gone by.
It's gone very fast.
It is crazy to me. And so that's what I tell these guys all the time. If they're open around practice or in the fields, I'm like, guys, you have no idea how fast this is going to go by. I mean, it is going to be over like that. I mean, I can remember feeling that way on that same field, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
You're dating yourself.
13, 14 years ago, yeah. So, I mean, it just goes by so fast. So, we're doing everything we can to get better every day. I really appreciate the kids.
Appreciate it, Taylor. We'll see you Friday.
All right, thank you.
Our thanks to Taylor Schwerdtfiger and his team getting ready to hook it up on, tomorrow night. Well, actually Friday night, 2 nights. I'm going a little bit too soon. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock start, right. Want to make sure everybody knows that. 7 o'clock start. Gold Bugs and the Hennessy Eagles, the 2A District 1 opener for both teams. Hennessy 0-3, Gold Bugs 2-1. And as we mentioned, Alva trying to slay the dragon, not beating Hennessy in 6 seasons. They'll try to see if they can get that done. We'll have everything covered here on KELV, our pregame show, right at about 6:30 on Friday night. Myself, I'll be with Ron Sunderland. Reverend Ron will be back. We'll talk to him, and he'll be on our broadcast on Friday. And looking forward to it. So Alva Hennessy coming up on Friday. Be sure to tune in. That's going to do it for Coach's Corner. For Taylor Schwerdtfiger, for our players of the game, Tevin Long and Grant Ritter. This is Craig Hillman. We're going to take a break here in just a bit. Send you live to, just across the way at Champs. And we'll have Inside the Lines, the Ranger Football Coaches Show. That's coming up next here on KELV.